And so I was delighted to attend, and I said, yes, where's it going to be? And he said, well, this month it's going to be at Father Ted's. This is the Episcopal priest, and it'll be at his home. So I said, great. So I got the address, and I went up and knocked on the door, and all of these men opened the door, looking at me, and many of them had collars on, and they looked very serious. And so my friend, the Methodist minister, introduced me to everyone, and they were quite polite. So we had our breakfast, we had our meeting, and then one of them said toward the end of the meeting, you know, we have never really shared our faith traditions with one another. And so why don't we at the next meeting begin to share a little bit about our faith and what we believe? And Maxine, you'll be first. It was so cool. I was the only woman, the only non-standard brands religion there. Well, that's perfectly fine. Standard brands is fine. And so I thought, alrighty, here we go. So the next meeting, I think it was at the Lutherans' place. And so I had brought, first thing I did was I passed out membership applications to everybody. And then as I began to present what Signs of Mind was about, there was a young Catholic priest who got so excited about this idea of the oneness of all life. It was so amazing. And he says, yes, he says, you know, like this wall, it's alive. There's atoms, there's energy, there's life in there. And I'm going, okay. And the next year they elected me their president. You know, you get to just be who you are, right? I don't know who else to be. So it's about everything being alive, isn't it? And the royal road to aliveness is simply recognizing that we are one magnificent, each one of us, a magnificent individualized manifestation of that divine, powerful, amazing life. See, Troward understood aliveness. How many of you are Troward fans here? Yay! He knew that it was more than movement. You know, things seem to be alive. Oh, that's alive. It's alive, you know. It's more than movement, and he recognized that, yeah, sure, there's more life in the plant than there is in the rock. There's more life in the animal than there is in the plant, etc. But he said it's about degrees of intelligence. And intelligence, of course, is the beginning of every creative evolutionary process. There's always the idea first. Enarche, enhologos, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word, capital W, means that first spiritual prototype, that new mental equivalent, an idea, the blueprint about something that the creative intelligent activity of this universe by means of you and me is ready to bring in for full and complete manifestation. So, he recognized, this wonderful Thomas Troward, that this intelligence, so far as we know, has brought you and me into being as the pinnacle of the evolutionary experiment to the degree that we know at this moment. So still, movement tends to indicate aliveness, and yet it's really intelligence. You know, so whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, aliveness is important. Movement is important. Circulation is important. There's a lot of that in this book. That book, that wonderful book that wonderful Dr. Michael quoted from this morning, Alive and Ageless, that this idea of our being a recirculating fountain of life is a fabulous one to grasp. Whether it's a recirculating fountain of love, a recirculating fountain of prosperity, a recirculating fountain of health and wholeness, a recirculating fountain of creative activity. fountain and move your body and move your mind. Keep it inspired, even if it's doing crossword puzzles. But more importantly, come and take classes. Move your emotions. Don't stop things up. Let your feelings flow and invite peace and love and joy and the highest emotions you can imagine to flow through you. Physically, I do my Tai Chi, I do my yoga, I love moving, I walk, I love to hike. My mother was a dancer in vaudeville. Yeah. And I got some of her legs. And she was 96 when she died in my arms, which is probably why I became so incredibly attracted to hospice work, because I want people to move wonderfully into their next experience. But she loved parties, this girl. And we always gave her birthday parties. And I think it was her 94th birthday party. It was at my home in Mountain View. Had all the relatives, had lots of friends. And my mother at 94 had quieted down a bit by then, but she was still responsive when a friend of mine took her hand and got her up dancing. And afterwards, her face was flushed, her smile wouldn't go away, her eyes were sparkling, and she said to my brother, "Did you see me move my hips?" We get to move our bodies, move the flow of our emotions, stimulate our intellect, and most of all, of course, be spiritually aware of our aliveness. So, daily meditate on the perfect life. Daily embody the great ideal. And be this great recirculating fountain of life. And by the way, be patient with yourself while you're doing it. Tanya had spoken about sometimes it can take 21 days to change a habit. Did you know that when the Queen Mary was still afloat, that the captain would change the direction by giving the command? The command was received immediately. Everybody went to work down below, and everything happens nautically, which is supposed to, I don't know what it is, but it works. But did you know that once that command was given, that it took 7 miles to turn the ship around? Now, if it took 7 miles after that definite command to turn it around, to come about, I don't know if you say that with a big thing like that, but if it took 7 miles for the change, could you be a little patient with yourself? You know, when you're making a change, it's just like, but I spoke my word for that yesterday. How come I'm still behaving this way? Or how come I don't have everything that I'm ready to manifest? 7 miles for the Queen Mary. It won't take 7 miles for you, but it'll take what it takes. So be gentle with yourself on this royal road to aliveness, and be patient. So let's just keep moving. Let's just keep the flow of life. Let's let this eternal fountain of youth, which you came in with, you don't have to look for it. You brought it with you. It's within you. It's always ready to flow. And let's let it do its work by you remembering who you are every moment of every day. So will you say with me, I'm traveling the royal road to aliveness.
I'm traveling the royal road to aliveness.
I am the magnificent manifestation of perfect life.
I am the magnificent manifestation of perfect life.
I accept my perfect life.
I accept my perfect life.
I embody my divine ideal.
I embody my divine ideal.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so beginneth your lesson.